Hi, my name is Serena Unser, and I did a book review as Nature Made Him, the boy that was raised as a girl. The author was done by John Coponto, and he was a journalist, novelist, and an editor of the Rolling Stones. He won a National Magazine Award. The article was published in Rolling Stone 1997 when the article was called The True Story of John and Joanne. 3 years later, he published this book in 2000. Ron Reimer married Jane. Right here is Ron and Jane. They got married 19 December 1964. On the 22nd of August 1965, they were gifted with identical twin boys. 8 months after birth, Janet started to realize the discomfort that the boys had while using the bathroom. She took her to the pediatrician, and the pediatrician agreed that a circumcision had to be done before it could stop. So on April of 27, 1966, they did get a circumcision. And as the court papers said, that the doctor in the time being that was doing the circumcision used artery clamps right here, and that was to use to secure the piece of foreskin that was meant to cut away. And the standard actually for circumcision is the Gomac clamp, which is this right here. This clamp is used to prevent excessive bleeding, and Dr. Hugh did not use a scallop to make the cut. Instead, he used a Bovo cautery machine. This device employs a generator to deliver electric current to the sharp needle like a cutting instrument, which burns the edges of the incisions as it makes sealing the blood vessels to prevent from bleeding. Dr. Hewitt attempted this 3 different times, and every time he upped the level of currency. On the third attempt, they almost actually maximum the current almost, and they heard a wisp, and next thing you know, there's smoke coming from the baby's groan, and then the air smelled filled with meat, fresh meat. The urologist, Dr. Van, was called in. He was attempted to pass a probe through the hole at the end of the penis. The probe did not pass through the penis. Dr. Van could only help the child by having emergency cystectomy. This procedure was place a catheter in the baby to help allow the baby to pass urine. Over the next few days, the penis dried up and broke away in pieces. Ron and Janet was forced to raise one child healthy and the other one without a living organ where the penis is supposed to be at. One day, Ron and Janet was watching television and happened to have the first glimpse ever of a transsexual. And during the interview, they were actually interviewing Dr. John Money, right here. And they agree with what he was saying, and that was that the sex of a baby was born with didn't matter. You can convert a baby from one sex to another. Ron and Janet immediately wrote him, and he actually wrote back, and he said to come down to John Hopkins with their child promptly. Dr. John Money was one of the most respected sex researchers in the world. 15 years after joining John Hopkins, he was created as the man who came up with the gender identity to describe a person's inner sense of himself or herself. Dr. Money also believed in open marriages and nudism. The press went crazy over the surgery. Sex researchers, including Dr. Milton Diamond, have described this as a theory that said that a man is completely diversity of his evolution heritage, and stated that pre-birth factors set limits on how far culture, learning, and environment can direct gender identity in humans. Canadian team's findings would go hand in hand with Dr. Diamond's conclusions. Ron and Janet made the first trip to John Hopkins in 1967. They were informed that they have never done a procedure like this on a baby, especially with him having the genitals and nervous system as a boy. Dr. Money kept informing them that they had to decide quickly because of the gender identity gate. This term was his, which was stating the point where a child locks in what their identity is, which usually is 2.5 to 3 years old. He also counseled them to change her name to a boy's name. So his name went to Bruce to Brenda. On July 3rd, 1967, Brenda is now 22 months old. She had a surgery castration in the operating room in John Haskins Hospital. Dr. Howard Jones did the procedure mainly to remove both testicles. After the procedure, Dr. Money ordered the rules to follow by. First rule was to never speak about this procedure to Brenda or about her birth. And other things were to ensure her to dress and act and be in activities as a girl would be. Dr. Money also ordered that they come for yearly to 18 months checkups. As the years go by, everyone started to notice how tomboyish Brenda was becoming. Her kindergarten teacher remembered a time where one of the other children came up and said, "How come does Brenda stand up while she goes to the bathroom?" The same teacher said that Brenda was more of a boy, claiming in the nature of things. She also believed that Brenda was already aware of her identity. She just didn't feel like she was a girl. As years went by, Dr. Money was asking questions such as what chores did they do, who's the tomboyish one, who gets in more fights. But as the older they got, the harder the questions would get, such as what they fantasize in their dreams, sexual ways, if they got erections, what pleasures them. One of many theories that Dr. Money had was how children from the gender scams, meaning Money's term, that they must understand at a very early age the difference between male and female organs. Pornography, he believed, was ideal for this purpose. The twins recall when they were 6 years old that Dr. Money showing them pictures of kids with no clothes and adults engaging in sexual intercourse. When Dr. Money was alone, the twins would have a different personality. He would tell them to take off their clothes and look at each other's private parts. They were involved at playing thrusting movements to each other. Dr. Money would take photos of them while they were engaged in these activities. Dr. Money had this fascination while childhood sexual play. He spoke about them all around the world. In April 1977, Dr. Money was interviewed with the pornography magazine Genus. He discussed his frustration against the prohibition against childhood sexual play and the philosophy's right to observe it. He also went to the Oprah talk show and completely changed the subject to his interest in bestiality, urine drinking, feces eating, and other fetish. Dr. Money was informing college students that marriage was an economic move and incest shouldn't be postulated as a criminal offense, and that in cases where stepfathers sleep with their stepdaughters, the mother is often happy because she is glad to have her husband off her back. Dr. Money urged the family that the general appearance of Brenda is critical to the theory of her one learns of their sexual identity. Dr. Money then told the parents to start walking around naked to show off their bodies and to engage in sexual intercourse in front of the children to help them understand their identity. Their parents did walk around naked but did not have sex in front of their kids. At this point, Brenda started catching on that her parents are taking advice from Dr. Money. So at this point, she believed that they were in with Dr. Money taking photos of her doing stuff with their brother. So to sum up the next few years, Brenda kept having issues at school, usually ending up in changing different schools. Her family was falling apart. Janet was critical, depressed. Ron had a drinking problem. Brian uh, started to get in trouble. Brenda started having severe anxiety, social isolation, and fear anytime she was forced to see Dr. Money. Dr. Keith Sigmundson was in charge of Brenda's case. He reassigned her a different doctor, Margaret, and he believed that Brenda needed a woman psychiatrist. So Dr. Money note said once gets impression that Brenda sometimes said that she thinks she want you to hear I'm a girl. Dr. Money also said that she said Dr. Money's papers that the twins' case, seeing them in person, they did not match. So her main goal was to get Brenda over the fear of a hospital fear to go back to Dr. John Money to do the procedure. She could not get over the fear, but she was able to have her parents and Dr. Money to agree to do the surgery at a different hospital instead of John Hopkins, and everyone's on board. At the end of 7th grade, Brenda told Janet if they ever make her see Dr. Money again, she will kill herself. Dr. Simpson assigned a different psychiatrist. This was Dr. Mary McKinney. With the first two sessions, January 2nd, 1979, the psychiatrist was different with her methods. This is because she got on the child's level. She would play games, draw with them, paint, and write. Brenda was testing her for the few sessions to see if she could trust her. Finally, Brenda said that she passed the test and she started opening up. On June 8th, Brenda didn't want to play games anymore. She actually took an interest into her medical condition for the first time in a 10-year standoff. Dr. McKinney asked her, what did she think happened? And Brenda's response was, I used to think that my mother had beaten me between the legs. At this moment, they all agreed that it was time to tell the truth about Brenda's operation. So on 14th March of 1980, after 4 years implementing Dr. Money's plan, it's time to tell Brenda the truth. That is who she is and what happened to her. Her parents did so. Brenda's decision to change back to a boy was immediately after her 15th birthday. She made her public debut of her being a boy. On the 22nd of October 1980, David, he changed his name to David, went under a double mastectomy. On July 2nd, 1981, David underwent a surgery to create this penis. This was constructed of a muscle and skin that was from the inside of his thighs. There were downfalls to the procedure, because he ended up to the hospital several times for the next 3 years because of the infection of his artificial urethra. After his 22nd birthday, David went under surgery again for a new type of artificial penis. This penis would be able to function, although he wouldn't be able to use it for another 2 years. David started to worry about if he was ever going to find love, especially after seeing his brother find and have children. But his thoughts changed in the summer of 1997. He met his beautiful wife, Jane, and she already had 3 children, so it was a win-win for him. In the fall of 1989, David and Jane moved in together, and on the 22nd of September 1999, David and Jane got married. Later, Dr. Money wanted to interview David about his life experiences to help surgeries like his own. Dr. Diamond wanted to show that Dr. Money's twins case was a failure and that he wanted to delay the time for surgery to children until they were old enough to know what their gender were. In October of 19 79, the gender identity clinic closed. Spring of 1997, Dr. Money's career and reputation suffered the most enormous blow to date. The global media, because of the response of Dr. Diamond's and Dr. Sigmasson's paper on the twins' case, the article published in the Rolling Stones of December 1997. While also boys learn concentration complex because seeing a woman lacking of a penis draws to the conclusion that penises can be cut off. Ryle also spoke about how boys learn their masculine by down upon women, looking down upon women because they lack of a penis. I used to think that my mother beating me between the legs is a perfect example. Miss McKinney immediately told Mr. Sigler about the situation. They both discussed and agreed that Brenda's response was the perfect picture for the fuse theory of the opiates complex, the developed stage that supposedly marks of every human being's psychology differential into boy and girl. The Mr. Carpenter started to give examples about the Greek tragedy where a child was unwittingly had sex with his mother and then killed his father. On the Opiates complex, we founded that the fused conviction that all children, both male and female, develop their earliest infancy erotic attachment to their mother. In boys, in the fused point of view, the Opiate complex gives the castration anxiety, meaning that the fear that the father would cut off their penises for they weren't a threat anymore. For girls, they were penis envy, meaning the girls felt that they already cut their penises off by their parents. In conclusion, Copento showed every aspect of this bizarre case. He gave evidence that the Reimers family was nothing like the perfect picture that Dr. Money was describing. By the philosophy research, the twins case, what Brenda's and David's thoughts were. Copento used Dr. Money's own theses from Harvard University about how the surgery should wait until the individual understands what he or she is. What influenced Dr. Money years later goes against his words from his theses. Copento also exposed the 31-year-long scientific feud between Dr. Money and Dr. Diamond, a rivalry over nature versus nurture debate. I highly recommend this book for research. The author was able to present evidence at every angle of the story. Sometimes you're sitting on the edge of the chair while reading this book. The book serves for a better society by showing individuals should be able to know this gender is and before having any procedure done to them unless it was life-threatening. And I wanted to go a little bit past the book because I was just intrigued by his life. And I actually found out that his wife asked for a divorce. And shortly after that, he hung himself. So, yeah, he suicide. He had depression. He wasn't good financially. So I just thought that was crazy. And he is my reference. Hope you guys enjoy.